Pieter, so hello. Thanks for coming from the Netherlands. So, Pieter, maybe you can maybe introduce yourself, and I will explain then why I wanted you to come and talk
Oh, wow.
about technology. So, could you introduce yourself and the
Of
company?
course. Yeah, a bit. I'm Pieter. I'm a recruiter. Always have been over 30 years now. First group treasurer placed in about 96 and loved the combination of recruitment and treasury. So started treasurer search about 15 years ago, and we gradually grew and more prominent. And we're 15 right now, specializing treasury recruitment for permanent
Across
interim
Europe.
positions. Yeah, mainly Benelux and DACH.
Good. No, I think it's quite important to come to technology because we see the link and we mentioned that behind you have humans, so you need to make sure that you have the right skills, hard skills and soft skills. As a recruiter, I guess that you see some changes in the evolution in the recruitment, or not yet?
Yes and no. I think in essence, the recruitment itself doesn't change. The process is very similar, but the profiles for all jobs, not only treasury related, but has a tech component which is bigger, and also in the process itself, it's way better to measure and predict and do your HR risk management based upon what you can measure by using also big data and other aspects. Yeah.
And could you talk about and to make the link between technology and skills? So you have developed a way to assess the expertise of candidates, not only when you recruit for your customers, but also for assessing the quality when it comes to promotion or let's say evolution of career. So could you talk about this
briefly
kind of
the presentation and then I come back?
Exactly.
Because I
like
like
a short presentation, and so
I have a short presentation indeed, and I liked
what is a treasury test? So
exactly. So my goal here is twofold. I like standing over here. At the end of my presentation, first that you pay as much attention to your people as you do to your TMS. So that's a big one, but that would be really great. And the second one, if you can remember the treasury test at the end of the presentation. So take this in consideration. The biggest asset of our company are our people, or the biggest decision next to my relation and my house is my job, or the biggest cost in our company is salaries. Do your actions, your company actions reflect this important statement? So that's why I like the presentation of Cyril a lot. I hope you pay attention to your people as much as you do to your TMS, because I think defining a TMS definition wrong is preparing for failure. So I will not train you today in how to do recruitment, because then you don't need me. But I do want to invite you to pay more or pay attention, and for instance, not delegate the choosing of your people to colleagues who do not suffer the pain of a wrong decision. So my invitation would be indeed think about the purpose of the job of the people you hire, or your important career decision, and then define a good job spec, a good profile, and measure what's relevant, and also do not discriminate, because it's not good for the candidates. For you miss out on really good candidates. And that's also about the measurement. So I think nowadays hiring risks can be measured better than in the past. So not good for me and my job type is that, for instance, doing an interview is a really bad predictor of let's say success. So if you say, I like this candidate because of the interview, the correlation between success and, for instance, an assessment or a CV screening or a reference check is weaker. So together also with Francois, we designed the treasure test. It's out there already for quite a while. It's accessible for everybody. And the start of the whole thing was there's no standardized way of reading in a CV how good somebody is in a treasury job. There's many treasury educations out there, but they're not standardized. And only 10% of the treasury population has one. So we thought, what can we do for not only treasurers, but also HR people who are, let's be frank, clueless when it comes to treasury tasks, but also for many CFOs. How can we predict how good this treasurer actually is? So what we did is we created an assessment which lasts about an hour. That's the third one is now out, the third release. What you do is for 1 hour, you get questions. And the first version was designed by academics, the University of Amsterdam, for instance. Very good, but not good enough. So the second version, we brought in industry experts. And there are four categories. You see them mentioned there. And the questions get harder and harder. And you are not able to finish 120 questions. There are too many. And then if you're at the end of the test, you're done, and you get a report, and it shows two things per category. So you've got your statement about cash management. On the one hand, how many points did you score on cash management? And you get points by answering questions properly. And the more complex, you get more points. But the second part is also there, is what is your percentage right? Because you don't want to have a gambler in your team. So if you have multiple choice questions, you can, of course, 120 questions you can do in like, 5 minutes. But then you will do really weakly. And what you will get in your results, and that's also connecting to what Cyril did with Kariba, the benchmarking. So you don't get a grade like at school. No, you will be compared to other treasurers who made a test already and who are in a similar career stage. So 9+ years, young graduates, 0 to 3 and 4 to 8. So that's the treasurer test. And it's already out there for a while, and it's the third version. And I think there's a leaflet, so you can find it in your goodie bag or treasurer test. And about the questions, they are designed by about 150 global treasurers, and they are they are screened by the people you see over here. So Francois being one of them. So that's about the assessment itself. And I think this presentation is also about IT aspects in the team. And I think it's perhaps good to continue that on in the dialogue. And
yeah, exactly. So I would like to know if you notice so far when you talk to customers, to CFOs or head of treasury, you see change in the requirement in terms of skills, expertise.
Not enough, because that's connecting the paying attention to recruitment. What I would like to see is that, of course, you can measure qualifications in studies. Yeah. So you have a master's degree, so you're smart. But what you need, I think, in a constantly changing environment, you need agility. What's called agility also in HR, which is kind of a fashion term. But it's a personality trait you can measure quite well through, for instance, online assessments, which is not part of the treasurer test anymore. But for instance, the ability to deal with changing situations, the drive to innovate, that is, I think, essential right now.
To react, yeah.
Yeah, and that is very measurable now, and a very low threshold. And I think that could be done more, and also on the actual IT skills. Excel is, I think, still really important for everybody here. Excel is the biggest used, the most used TMS, and it's somewhere in a CV, and you think, okay, this person handles Excel very well. Well, not so much very often. It's a big surprise. Also, Excel skills easily measurable through assessments. You give somebody a test of 20 minutes, and you know how good their skills are. So if you want to do risk management in IT skills, for instance, assess. And it's not like I'm here a provider of these assessments, but we integrate them in our recruitment services.
But we can imagine that these hard skills in technology will increase over time, the requirement. for the new recruitment?
That's a bit of a hard one. But my personal opinion is that and it's a bit of an old guys trying to understand the younger generation, is that bringing in people with an IT degree doesn't solve the issue, because that's a topic for all job types. In my perception, at universities nowadays, or even before, coding, there are schools like where kids of 8 are already coding. So I think the actual skills are already in our regular
will be, let's
system.
Say,
so it's going up. Yeah.
Embedded in the
exactly.
training or education.
That's what I see and expect. I'm not a fan of bringing IT engineers into treasury departments unless they are bigger than let's say 12 or 14 people.
So when we talk about soft skills, so what are the qualities you are looking for, or your customers are looking for? We mentioned earlier on curiosity is quite important. Adaptability to be able to react, to be proactive and not reactive. What are agility you mentioned? So what are the other, let's say, soft skills you would like to see in your candidates?
One thing I would like to add is the wanting to connect in the communication aspect, because I think one of the speakers today mentioned you've seen one TMS, you've seen them all, and I think I don't agree, but I get what he's saying. My opinion is that a lot of the success or failure depends on the ability to drive the implementation and to get all stakeholders involved, and that requires, of course, interpersonal skills. And I think these are not in all treasury jobs essential, but in many. And when you see the people progressing in their career up to group treasurer level, one of the aspects they're good at is connecting treasury to the rest of the business.
Yeah. There is another issue we mentioned and we addressed at the last ATEL conference for the 30th anniversary. It's the attractivity of treasury. So we noticed that it's more and more complicated to attract people to treasury because it's unknown, because we are not promoting it properly. I think the job is quite interesting, but the way to promote the job is not maybe at the level it should be.
Yeah. There was this hashtag treasury is sexy thing going on at one stage. And I think first, this is closely related, is that the labor market is changing and it's all also connected to treasury tech. We have candidates in our recruitment company who reject jobs not for the money or the culture or anything like that. They reject jobs for under automation. They say, okay, all good and well that you are wanting to implement a TMS, call me when you're done, because I'm not doing the manual. So the whole hyper automation thing, that is already expected by a lot of people in the labor market, at least from the younger generation.
Or to make sure that there is a solution, because I know that some candidates sometimes refuse job if the technology is not the technology they were expecting. So it's candidates could be quite, let's say, challenging the recruiters. And it's also fair to say that there are some initiatives. We mentioned last time Talent Place with BNP, where we try to train people, because the interesting thing with treasury, we try to explain to the young people that they could start in corporate treasury, move to bank or vice versa, move to IT vendors, because IT vendors are also consuming this kind of resources, or advisory. So at the end of the day, you can make a career working in different, let's say, industries, but all related to treasury.
I'm quite optimistic by nature, but I'm not too optimistic about this aspect, because we as treasury community are in competition with all other job types, and audit and consultancy and analyst or corporate. They have so much more power, and the story indeed is right. The content treasury is indeed sexy. It's a great job type, but we haven't been able as community to translate it on a continuous basis and reach that audience. We are very much preaching for the choir, and we talk to each other and say, treasury is such a good job type, and we should have more treasury people. And who do we tell? Other treasurers. But it's not like we are all going out here and to universities and telling everybody we go to a local University of Applied Sciences and go to auditors or controllers or anything. And I think that would, because the story is good.
Yeah.
But we tell it at the wrong place.
Yeah. But okay, but thanks a lot. And if we have some, or if you have some question, Pieter will stay with us. So do not hesitate to talk to Pieter and see what are the trends in the market. I'm sure benchmarking is also important when it comes to salaries. It's a question that we receive frequently from members. Always a big issue. Thanks a lot for your comment, Pieter.